Raven is a tool in this course that is used to evaluate the reliability of sources and will save you from utter embarrassment when you're doing a report on northwestern wildlife and include an entire section on the tree octopus. Alright, Raven, or NARV, as some of you may know it, but we'll stick with Raven, stands for Reputation, Ability to Observe, Vested Interests, Expertise, and Neutrality. Let's break it down now. If the source is from any of the databases included in the KCLS system or JSTOR, it is very likely a reputable source. Be careful when you search on Google for sources though, because there is a high chance that these sources are not as reputable and could be based on opinion or falsified data rather than facts backed up by reliable evidence. But don't fret, this is where Raven comes in. To find an author's reputation, you have to do some digging. Do a search for the author's name. Are they a professor at the university of the field you are researching? Have they published previous acclaimed works? Or are they respected in their field of research? Another thing to look for is if the author's name is listed somewhere in the source. If the author does not place their name on a piece of work, it is a huge red flag with the source being unreliable. That means the work wasn't something the author wanted to be associated with. Once you have determined your author's reputation, you should find out where and how they retrieve their evidence and whether or not that is reliable. Have they spent time collecting their own evidence, talking to professionals in the field, or scavenging for their own data? Or did they retrieve evidence from another reliable source? If either of those two are checked off, then they have a strong ability to observe. Vested interest is essentially what the person or organization who wrote the piece has to gain or lose from presenting the facts in an unbiased way. Some things to look for are: do the organization or person have a reputation or customer base at stake that they could lose by lying? If an author is not listed or has nothing to lose, then it is likely that they did not care very much about presenting true and factual evidence, which is a huge red flag. When evaluating the author's expertise, you're looking at their credentials. Are they a college professor or a professional in the field that you are researching, or are they just someone with an opinion? To do this, a quick search of the author's name in Google should be enough to tell you if they are an expert. Often, sources in the databases list the author's credentials at the top of the source. An example of why expertise is important is that if you are researching climate change, you would probably want to find someone with experience like a climatologist, rather than resorting to a blog where the author is more than likely a person who really shouldn't be saying anything on the subject. That is not saying all blogs are bad. For example, you might be researching something that requires opinion, or the person who wrote the blog is an expert. Lastly, you need to evaluate neutrality, which basically boils down to looking for a lack of bias in the source. To do this, you need to look at who published the source and what their point of view is on the subject and how that would affect the information they want to present. For example, if a study about lung cancer is funded by cigarette companies, would be biased towards themselves and against their opponent. Looking for bias is important because if a source is biased and you use that information, your argument too will become slanted. AP Seminar is a course that builds effective research and argumentative skills, rather than teaching content in a traditional sense. This course is notorious for having overwhelming workloads and tough due dates. However, if you manage your time well, you will have no problem completing your work without any stress. AP Seminar is definitely worth your time, and if you put the effort in, it can be one of the most useful classes you will take in your high school career, as the skills you learn and the resources you gain access to will be extremely useful for other classes, including AP Seminar and others in the future. When you begin the school year, you are likely to feel overwhelmed going through the curriculum as we did, considering the hefty amount of essays and presentations that lie ahead are likely more than you'll have ever done in a single course before. However, you shouldn't worry, as you are given plenty of time to research, write, and structure your arguments and present them, as the typical amount of time to complete each project is around 3 to 4 weeks. The first AP project you have is the group argument and presentation. This is a research project where in the group you individually write own essays collecting evidence on a specific lens that is a branch of the overall question your group has selected. Then for the presentation, you come together and combine your research and arguments into a single argument and presentation. The second AP project you have is your individual written argument, where you research a problem of your choice that connects to themes from 6 provided stimulus sources, and then you must synthesize this argument and solution to that problem through a 2,000-word essay and a 6 to 8 minute presentation. The final part of your AP score is the EOC. There are 2 sections, Part A and Part B. Part A requires you to evaluate the author's claims, evidence, and reasoning using skills that you've learned throughout your year in AP Seminar. For Part B, you are required to write an individual written argument based on 4 sources given to you. Basically, you look at all 4 sources' arguments and combine at least 2 of them to make a new and original argument based on the claims from those sources. Once your AP tests are finished, there's one more final project, like the one we're showing you right now, which can either be a sketch video or is another individual research project. A huge key to success in AP Seminar is not to fall behind. If you stay up to date on all of your assignments, work, and due dates, then you will achieve success. Although, there is more to it than that. When you have developed a research question, let the evidence you find shape your argument. Don't try to find evidence that fits a preconceived argument that you've made before researching. AP Seminar is one of the most useful and fun courses offered in school. Useful because the skills you learn in this class will be applicable not only to other classes, but to life as well. And fun because it's truly open-ended and you get to pick what you want to research and you're not confined by a set curriculum.